SubX.News, 6:20 p.m., February 25th, 2026. Ongoing lies of the liberal Chicago government. They say there's a housing problem, and the housing, sure, look at this. This is CHA land. This is boarded up. We just came from the tent city at 23rd and Halsted. Why do you think this is boarded up? We'll show you why it's boarded up. You know why it's boarded up. If you don't know why this is boarded up, these are the Loomis Courts Apartments. Look at all of these buildings boarded up. Look at this. This is CHA land. CHA. Brandon Johnson controls the CHA. He appoints the people who run the CHA. This is a school. This is a Medill school. Look at these schools. It's all boarded up, all shut down. We'll show you why it's boarded up. See that there? Look, that's boarded up there. That's boarded up. This is CHA land. In front of us, the migrants used to live in that land over there. Look, the CHA spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a fence to kick the migrants out. The migrants actually liked this because it was next to the police station and they were safe. But the CHA spend money on a fence to fence off public land. That's kind of strange. But they let people in tents live on public land. I'll show you this, the Loomis Court Apartments here. Look at this. This was open until recently. Let me show you this here, right? What is the mayor and his cronies keep saying? It's racism, it's this, it's that. I keep telling you that guy is the biggest racist, him and Cam Buckner, all of those guys. They're the biggest racists, right? Look at this. You see that there? Look at all that. Look at that. That whole apartment building's empty. You want to see? Look. Look at that. That whole building is shut down. SubX.News Live. You're watching it right here. 6:25 p.m. February 25th, 2026. Chicago Housing Authority is the biggest racist scumbags in the whole city of Chicago. They're gentrifying neoliberal scum. They're terrorists. We just came back from the drug prostitute tents over on 23rd and Halsted. There's people living in tents. There's people on Canalport living on tents. Yet this whole building is shut down. Look at that. People say I'm a crazy old white man, that I say weird stuff. What's weird about this? Look at that. Am I still a crazy old white man? How come this building is shut down? That's because you have a racist neoliberal scum running our city that's backed by what? Bill Ayers. Brandon Johnson's connected with Bill Ayers, and Bill Ayers is connected to the neoliberal left that runs our city, right? That's who you're dealing with, right? Right in back of us is Maxwell Street development. They kicked out all the blacks and the Greeks out of there and some of the Italians by Taylor Street. They built those townhomes and condos, and the first thing they found is that the politicians were flipping those. You see that there? You want to see this? It's all shut down here. Look. There you go. It's shut down. I don't know if I'm going to be able to squeeze through here. I don't think so. SubX.News. There you go. Shut down projects. There you go. They cut the cameras there. Look at that. There you go. Why is this shut down? Why is the CHA shut this place down? The guy says we don't have housing. Are you out of your mind? This is a high-rise building here, right? There's plenty of housing. There's plenty of rooms. Yet right down the street on 23rd and Halsted, there's people living in a tent doing prostitution and drugs. All right, there you go. You want to see? This is a huge building complex. Do you see anybody here? Do you see anybody walking around? Look at that. This is CHA housing here. This is our housing. We own this. We built this with our tax money. We run it. We still own this. Chicago Housing Authority is Chicago. We own this. We used our tax money, all that money that we had all those years from after the war, World War II. right? The social experiment from Lyndon B. Johnson. This is what this is. This is where all that came from, right? You can argue the projects were good or bad. That's another argument to talk about. That has nothing to do with what I'm showing you. What I'm showing you is what? What am I showing you? I'm showing you that Chicago doesn't have a housing problem. Chicago has an institutional racist problem. And it has nothing to do with black and white. It has to do with what? Socioeconomics, right? Well, I gotta get off this grass here, right? I don't know how to get out of here, man. See that there? This whole complex is shut down. This whole housing complex is shut down. You see that there? See that there? The whole housing complex is shut down. I'm not joking. I didn't even know this was open for till a little while ago. Look at that. SubX.News on the spot reporting. You share this video anywhere you're at. Show this. The scam that's Brandon Johnson. Stealing not only our public land, giving tax breaks to connected crony operations, but saying that we don't have housing when there's a whole housing complex here shut down. This is where a lot of black people lived. And he's a black mayor. You kind of get it? You're starting getting the picture here? How do I get out of this place, man? I don't even know how this works here. This way? I don't know. See that? This is all shut down. What did I say? This is the Loomis Courts. Look at that. Look at this whole building complex. This is huge here. How many families can live in this place? Yeah, you might not like the way I talk. You might not like who I am. But this is a fact. This is the truth. You know why? Because it's gentrification right there. That's the Chicago Fire right next to us, right? This is uber gentrification, right? This is Medill School here. There you go. SubX.News Live. We don't have a housing problem. Look at all those buildings. Look at all those apartments that are shut down. Why aren't there people living in these? Why aren't there people living in these? We just came from the tent camp on 23rd and Halsted. Why aren't there people living in these projects? Why is the CHA shutting down public housing in the city of Chicago? Why is the CHA shutting down public housing in Chicago? Why does it exclude blacks from having apartments? Why does it make drug addicts sleep in tents on street corners? There you go. There you go. That's what you're watching. SubX.News. There you go.